Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for attending our webinar series today. My name is Tyson Mavar. I'm one of the retirement specialists here at the Retirement Group of Wealth Enhancement Group. Today we're going to be talking about some recent tax reform that has a lot of our clients asking questions. What are the impacts on me, positive and negative, and how is this going to change our retirement plan? Specifically, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBBA for short. So called by many the Big Beautiful Bill. This was aimed at improving health care, preserving retirement benefits, investing in education, and supporting clean energy. And there was a lot of tax rule changes that came out of this. Primarily what came out of this is an extension of tax cuts that came from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Many of those tax cuts became permanent, that were set to go away at the end of 2025 if nothing was done. And why many people call this the biggest tax cut in history was a result of allowing for many of these tax cuts just to be extended. Now there were some actual new tax cuts, however, and tax benefits. One relating to the increase in the cap on state and local tax deductions, or SALT tax deductions. This was previously capped at $10,000 per year. That is increased to $40,000 per year, but only temporarily, only for the next 5 years, at which time it is scheduled to revert back to the $10,000 cap. So this is likely going to have many of our clients who were taking the standard deduction now qualify to itemized deductions, or have it make sense to itemized deductions. Probably want to revisit your charitable contributions as a result of this. And this is primarily affecting people that have high property taxes, and many people that have multiple properties, maybe investment properties in their retirement plan. Some other new deductions were up to a $25,000 deduction for folks that have income from tips, up to $12,500 additional deduction for folks that have overtime pay, and up to $10,000 deduction for auto loan interest, but for vehicles that were assembled here in the United States. Important distinguish. Now, what's not shown on here is that there's also phase out income limits. So if your income is below $200,000 as a joint filer, for example, you would qualify for the full deduction. You also have to have the vehicle be under 14,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. So for example, I drive a Toyota Tundra truck, gross vehicle weight rating of 8,000 pounds. Most vehicles, including trucks and even many heavy duty trucks, will still qualify for this, but keep in mind there is an income limit and phase out. And the vehicle must be assembled here in the United States. So of course, Toyota, many other cars, foreign companies, however, they are assembled here in the United States in a lot of cases. And that might be something to look for if you're in the market for a new vehicle. Oh, not to skip over this, but there was Trump accounts that are attractive to many of our clients, especially those that have grandchildren. Some of our clients have previously contributed to 529 education savings accounts, which have tax benefits associated to them, but limitations on how those funds can be spent, specifically for future education expenses. These Trump accounts are different in that they can be used for a broader range of expenses in the future for children, grandchildren, or other beneficiaries. For example, starting a business in the future. But there are also some limitations that want to be considered in terms of when the money can be spent and what those tax benefits could actually be. But the good news is that money can be invested. And even better news for folks planning to have children, for the next 3 years until 2028, if you have a child, 2025 through 2028, you actually qualify for a deposit into these accounts of $1,000, a one-time deposit to get you started on this. Even if you don't have a child, though, it's likely you'll still want to consider this for saving your own money and the tax benefits and uses of the funds in these Trump accounts. As far as healthcare goes, there were cuts to Medicaid projected at 12 to 18% over the next 10 years. There's also some work requirements, not for everybody, but for many current Medicaid recipients. Minimum work requirement of 80 hours per month, or about 20 hours per week, to qualify for both Medicaid benefits as well as SNAP program benefits. It's also reducing Affordable Care Act subsidies and CHIP program funding, and it bans federal funding for gender-affirming care and for Planned Parenthood. With regards to defense and immigration, it's increasing defense spending by $150 billion, including $25 billion for missile defense, $29 billion for shipbuilding, and over $10 billion for space programs. There's a pretty large increase to immigration and customs enforcement from $10 billion to over $100 billion by 2029. And about $46.5 billion earmarked for border wall and expanded deportation infrastructure. With regards to energy and environment, this is rolling back many clean energy tax credits that came out of the Inflation Reduction Act a few years ago. A lot of them going away later this year. It's promoting fossil fuels and expanded drilling access for energy in the United States. And it's going to end wind and solar tax credits for new projects starting later this year. Now, one of the highlights of this bill for a lot of our retired clients is the bonus senior deduction. So for many, not all, but many retirees, and not just retirees, but individuals age 65 and over, there's a bonus potential tax deduction of $6,000 per individual, or $12,000 per couple. Now, this is in addition to the standard deduction, so you don't have to itemize your deductions to qualify for this. However, there are some income limitations. So for single filers under $75,000 of annual income, you would get the full deduction. Joint filers under $150,000 a year would get the full deduction. You might still get a deduction if your income is over those limits, but it starts to be reduced to a point where if your income is over $175,000 as a single filer or over $250,000 as a joint filer, you will get no deduction from this. So many of our clients still might want to look at this, and it also may change our tax and distribution strategy, where we're pulling money from. For instance, you may want to consider pulling, rather than from your retirement account, which is fully taxable as ordinary income, to pulling from non-qualified or taxable accounts, so that you can keep below these limits and get the maximum deduction. Not the case for everybody, but we'd want to run a retirement cash flow analysis to determine what's the best strategy to maximize this new deduction while it's around. So who does this benefit? Primarily middle-class individuals and families. Like we talked about the income phase-outs. It's estimated 33.9 million seniors will see an average $670 per year tax savings out of this. It's also estimated that now 88% of seniors may end up paying no taxes on Social Security. Many of these individuals already were not paying taxes on Social Security. It's just increasing the number of individuals that will no longer have to pay taxes on their Social Security. But this is not removing taxes on Social Security. Let's be very clear, because there were some misconceptions on that. Many people will still be paying taxes on their Social Security, but effectively this is just a tax deduction for seniors, some seniors. Who this does not benefit, some of the lowest income individuals in the United States and families, and some of the higher income individuals and families in the United States, based on some of those income deductions and the fact that many people already don't pay taxes on their Social Security and can't benefit from a tax deduction as a result. So we want to, when building our plan, first of all, clarify our retirement vision. So if you're not retired yet, when do you want to retire? And how do your financial circumstances affect your retirement date? So regardless of when you ideally had in mind your retirement, we might recommend a different retirement date, and in some cases, an earlier retirement date to have more money in retirement. Biggest example of this is for our corporate employees who have a defined benefit pension plan, whose lump sum is determined based on interest rates. And this is a reason sometimes we will tell our clients to retire earlier than planned, to walk away from their company with more money. Where you want to live in retirement also affects the retirement plan, in part because of cost of living, but in part also because of state income taxes and state capital gains taxes. So we want to talk about that before you retire. And in many cases, your plans may change in retirement based on, kids moving away, grandkids moving away, maybe even wanting to move farther away from your children in retirement, maybe just wanting to Get away from the place where you worked your career. Get somewhere quieter, somewhere prettier. But we want to look at the financial impacts of this if you're planning on moving in retirement. What does your lifestyle look like? I strongly encourage my clients start envisioning what that next chapter looks like. What kind of travel do you want to do? What kind of hobbies are you looking forward to pursuing? And if you don't have many hobbies now, not a bad time to start exploring some, trying new things. Go take up pickleball, try a golf lesson maybe. Maybe try gardening. Different hobbies that will help you build a better schedule, but still have a schedule in retirement. We think are important to start looking at before you actually pull the trigger on your retirement. And this is also going to help us define what is the actual income need in retirement, the ongoing income need, as well as what flexibility you have for those one-time withdrawals, whether they're for purchases, for helping family members, taking trips, those types of things that oftentimes retirees do a lot of in the early years of retirement and start slowing down on in the later years of retirement. We recommend diversifying your income sources. Most of you will qualify for Social Security. Some of you will have a pension plan. How you take that pension plan is very important depending on your circumstances, whether or not you have a spouse, your age at retirement, your other resources, your tax bracket status, whether to take a lump sum or annuity, if you have a lump sum option, and whether or not you have a lump sum option. I think it's important to understand all the various annuity options, and based on your circumstances, what is likely going to give the best outcome to you or you and your spouse. How your pre-tax or tax-deferred assets like 401ks and IRAs play a role. A lot of our clients have the majority of their retirement money in those pre-tax assets, which is a risk for a retirement plan with an uncertain future about where tax rates are going to be, as well as where your income is going to be. And we might want to consider some more advanced tax strategies to improve your probability of success in retirement. We love when our clients have taxable or non-qualified, non-retirement brokerage accounts. Gives us more flexibility to employ some of these more advanced tax strategies through our income and distribution strategy that we will implement when we run this cash flow analysis. And it's possible you may have some annuities, maybe you have some business income, maybe you have some rental income from properties. We want to make sure that those are being utilized in the most tax efficient manner possible to supplement your income from other sources in retirement. So creating a withdrawal strategy is important. There's an old rule of thumb, we call it the 4% withdrawal rule, which says that historically, if all you withdrew from your retirement accounts was 4% gross, you would have a 100% probability of success. However, this is one of those rules of thumb that I personally don't tend to put a lot of credence to because the wide range of circumstances of my clients. And when we look back at this 4% withdrawal rule, yes, historically that created a 100% probability of success for people that were well-diversified portfolio regardless of when they retired. But a large portion of those individuals actually had several $1 million left over when they passed away, which means that you could still have a high probability of success with an even higher withdrawal rate in some circumstances. But we've got to take a look at your actual circumstances by running a retirement cash flow analysis and making a recommendation on what we think is a truly sustainable withdrawal rate, which is likely going to change over time. And it's okay to spend more money for most people in the early years of retirement. In fact, that's very common for our clients. Given that you have a lot more energy to do things in the early years, you might as well take advantage of those years in retirement. Consider earmarking your investments for different time periods that the money is needed. For example, money that you don't need for 15 plus years, probably okay to have in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, given that you have time on your side to recover from any temporary declines in the value of those stocks. But money that you need soon, you probably don't want to be taking as much risk with. And a lot of our clients will recommend having somewhere from 2 to 3 years worth of income in money markets and short-term treasury bonds or very safe asset classes. So you can have more peace of mind, sleep better at night knowing that your short-term income needs are covered by safe asset classes. We often recommend Roth conversions to our clients. Not everybody, but many of our clients it makes sense to do some Roth conversion, especially in the early years of retirement and especially before you reach required minimum distribution age. Often we will look at this in the fourth quarter of the year when we have a good idea of what our client's taxable income was for the year and how much room we have to the next tax bracket to possibly justify a Roth conversion. And the best time, if we could pick the perfect time to do a Roth conversion, is when investments are on sale or when our investments, especially our stocks, have gone down in price, presumably temporarily, because the Roth conversion we can get away with a little bit cheaper. So sometimes a Roth conversion can make sense before the end of the year, especially when we see those dips in the market. It's important to consider the health care expenses in retirement, especially if you retire before Medicare eligibility at age 65. A lot of our plans that we specialize in offer health insurance. For instance, I work with a lot of oil and gas company employees, and all of them have some type of health insurance subsidy, which you have to qualify for in many cases with either age and or years of service with the company. But often that's a great subsidy leading up to Medicare eligibility. And a lot of companies will continue to subsidize you even after you turn 65 and go on to Medicare through either a health reimbursement account or some type of Medicare Advantage plan that is subsidized from the company. So we want to look at that and how that can help you save money so that you have more money available for the more enjoyable expenditure items in your retirement. And some of the risks that we're looking at, longevity risk, of course, none of us know how long we're going to live, or at least most of us don't. But the longer we live, the more money we need. And this is a risk of running out of money in retirement that we can often hedge against through a variety of different investment vehicles. Certainly market downturns affect the retirement portfolio. In many cases, only temporarily, as long as we have a well-diversified portfolio and aren't too aggressive with how we have that portfolio set up. But we also have the risk of inflation, which is why most people need stocks in their portfolio to get growth to help combat inflation over the long run, especially if you end up living a long time. And especially if a lot of your income is from a fixed source that does not have a cost of living increase, such as a defined benefit pension plan. Many of those are fixed for life, which means the higher inflation goes, the less valuable that money becomes over time. And that's something else that we need to be aware of, at least when we're building our retirement plan. And then always staying informed with policy changes. This one was a pretty big one this year. Tax rule changes, especially tax rules that affect retirement accounts, are constantly changing. And we're always seeing changes with interest rates, changes to the markets, changes to our company plan benefits, which is something that we at the retirement group try to stay up on for our clients so that we can help them navigate those changes and pick a good retirement date and benefit plan options as a result. These are something that we believe your financial advisor in retirement should be helping you with. And review consistently. They say that the number one reason people leave their advisors in retirement is not because of poor investment performance, and oftentimes not even because of poor advice. The main reason is because of a lack of communication. So by talking to our clients and being proactive, we can understand changes that in their life that might warrant some changes to the plan. And we always are updating their retirement plan because we can't always predict the future. So we want to take the information as it comes, and that might change some of the recommendations on how we're taking money out of our accounts, what we're invested in, and a variety of other decisions that we have in retirement. Now, statistically, we found that 74% of Americans over the age of 50 don't even have a written plan for their retirement. We've also found that statistically, people spend more time planning for their vacations than they do for their retirement, unfortunately. Even though retirement is, of course, the longest vacation of our life. So we want to spend some time on it. This is where some of the biggest mistakes are made, where people make decisions under duress, whether it's because your company went through a reorganization, you received a layoff notice, maybe you have a health issue come up that changes plans. We want to put the plans in place ahead of time so that when those events happen, it's a lot lower stress environment and we can still make rational long-term financial decisions. This is something we do complimentary for everybody that's willing to spend some time with us, so take us up on this offer so we can give you our best advice, whether or not you're a client. things that you should be doing to prepare for a better retirement. Some of the reasons people like working with us, we've been around over 30 years, specializing in retirement income plans and distribution strategies, offices throughout the country. We specialize in a variety of Fortune 100 company plan benefits. That's an additional value add above what many financial advisors can offer to make sure you're making good decisions with those, not only at retirement, but before retirement. And like I mentioned, if you'd like to have us run that retirement analysis, it's a complimentary service. We just need usually about 10 to 15 minutes of your time to gather the information for the inputs, and usually about 30 minutes to an hour to cover it, either in an in-person meeting, a web meeting, or even just a phone call to give an idea where you stand and what you could be doing to improve the degree of certainty on success of your retirement plan. How to reach us: you can call us at 800-900-5867. You can email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. This QR code here on the left will also get you on mine or one of my colleagues who specializes in retirement's calendars. And if you just want to keep up to date with retirement strategy content, some of which is probably specific to your company plan, our LinkedIn page has a lot of great content related to that, and this QR code will get you access to that LinkedIn page. With that, we're going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for spending some time with us, folks. If you have any questions on the big, beautiful bill, give us a call. We're happy to spend a few minutes with you. Other than that, have a good, safe rest of your week, and we hope to talk to you soon.